Alright, hello everybody. Just gonna do stretching as we start here. How y'all doing? I hope you're all having a good Tuesday. Or whichever day you're watching this on. Hope you had a good Tuesday previously, if it's not Tuesday now. Today we're going to be doing Vintage Masters, which is a bit of an old format at this point. It's a format from ways back. Um, there is a new set coming out later this week. So we'll be doing some of that later, but that is not out yet. Not out on MTGO, not out on Arena. So Kaldheim's gonna have to wait. So we're gonna be doing Vintage Masters today. For those not familiar or maybe more likely, uh, wondering, wait, which Master set is the Vintage Masters? I remember Modern Masters and Modern Masters and Modern Masters and Eternal Masters and Graveyard Masters and Double Masters and Triple Masters and Artifact Masters and Enchantment Masters and Planeswalker Masters and Planeswalker Masters 2 and Vintage Masters and Legacy Masters and Modern Masters and Modern Masters and Modern Masters. Which of those 5,000 is this? Well, Vintage Masters is the one that wasn't a set in paper. Um, Vintage Masters exists to print a number of cards so that Legacy and Vintage can be played on MTGO. It's from, oh goodness, at this point, what, 6 or 7 years ago? 6.5? So it's been around for a while. Medibot, thank you very much for the sub. Hello and welcome, Cube. This is close to Cube in the sense that it has a lot of power that is from the vintage Cube, obviously. From memory, this set has a big goblin tribal bit. This set has a number of kind of like built-in like little archetype bits. I remember Battle Screech at common being pretty huge because it's Battle Screech. Which is good in basically every white deck. I think Madness was also a pretty big one. You know, Roar of the Worm, Wild Mongrel, Arrogant Worm, Circular Logic, Waterfront Bouncer, not Narcomoeba, Aquamoeba. Aquamoeba's a lot worse these days than it was in its oldest printing, but anyway, so yeah, that's Vintage Masters. That's what we're going to be doing today. I don't recall the full card list for this, going to be honest, as my joke at the beginning, haha, may have implied to you. All of the Masters sets in my mind are like a blob because there's like a dozen of them, and who is it who can say what is in one and not in another? So, all right. Anyway, Vintage Masters Phantom Draft League. That is what we're doing. So yeah, we're gonna be doing this today, and then Kaldheim comes out in the next couple days, and we'll be doing some drafts on Arena of that. So that'll be fun. I'm interested to see what Kaldheim Limited is going to play like. I have fears. I have a reasonable number of fears. We'll see how founded they are. Basically, the quick of it, every limited format that has a draft basics as like part of its draft format has been horribly just bottom tier in a lot of instances. You played Cold Snap Limited twice and then you're done with it. You didn't want to play Oath or Oath Plus. That you didn't want to play Oath more than like twice. That sort of bit. So we shall see. How many traps this has? I know that there is a storm deck you can build that is difficult. I wouldn't call it a trap necessarily in the sense that it's unsupported, but you have to be like certain you're getting the cards to be able to go into storm because like it's tough. So anyway, it's a little fewer than the cube usually has. Cube is usually around, like, the last couple we've had have been around 12, 11 to 12. A little smaller player pool for this. Goblins is one of the strongest decks in the format from my vague memories. They have, like, multiple really strong, uncommon cards that bring the deck together. Ooh, this set also has fake rarity. This set has like ghost rare, secret rare style fake rarity. I forgot about that. Power 9 is not at rare or mythic. It's at like mythic plus. It's at like super fake rarity. It only shows up in the foil slot and only at like a low amount. It's very specifically the Power 9 is at high rarity. Is at like, you know, it's kind of funny these days. Yu-Gi-Oh sets are actually pretty standardized in the rarities they have. But I think the joke still stands about the game having 1 billion rarities because they shifted between Ghost, Secret, Parallel, like all sorts of different styles for a long time. These days, it's basically been down to, like, they even got rid of normal rare these days. Comparable to masterpieces, I don't know because like this again, this was an online only set. I don't know how the numbers play out comparatively to like masterpieces. That's probably a good comparison, but I don't know if that's actually like the same rarity. I just know it's its own rarity set. Yeah, it's I haven't I this is not a set I drafted a lot of. Specifically, when the set came out, I remember it was like a super expensive set to draft, and I only did like a pair because going in on an unknown set for $30 felt really stupid. Uh, Nowadays, like they have them all phantom queues for, you know, $10, 100 play points, and we just kind of keep feeding those in. But like that was I think that was pre play points existing. So you still had to do all the market stuff when you won or lost to sell the packs. You had to know, okay, hold on to these, sell these, get rid of these, and it was a giant pain. So yeah, um, yeah. So I'm not like this is not a set that I'm super familiar with. I have phantom memories of like I think Psychotog and goblins in this format. So, but yeah, there's I'm trying to remember any of the. Oh, hello! I see someone else has
Oh,
jumped in. Hi.
that's right. I'm here for
Hi.
this.
Yes.
7 of 8 players in queue.
Yeah, we're still waiting on one more here.
Is this not as popular an event as the other cubes? Or
It's only like the active player number is only about 150, 200 lower than like the last couple we've been doing. Usually that active player number, like for just sort of a generic event, is like 1,200 ish. So it is a little lower, but not so low that I would expect 5 minute queue times.
someone messaged Caleb Durward to join the queue. Caleb's usually queuing.
Yeah, this is rather than a cube, this is a master set that only existed on Magic Online.
Ah. Oh,
So,
there we go. Oh, heck.
all right, we get to start with thawing glaciers. Good old thawing
Yo.
glaciers.
Oh, that takes me back.
Yeah, this was a very strong like inevitability, making all your land
Yeah,
drops
the
card
thing is,
advantage
like,
bit.
back in the day, you could do a bit of a time freak with it by activating it in the end step, but they fixed it.
Yeah,
So
cleanup step. That wording is very specific there because of
that's a
moves you can do with it.
that's a patch.
Uh, we have literal
Good
reanimate,
old reanimate. Wow.
dark writ. We've got counterspell proper. We've got uh imperial armor, which know that one is always this was a card you just played on your 2-drop and then you just went to town. Um, solar blast, dark writ, huh?
Huh.
Pick up the glaciers. I actually think this card's strong.
It's still good. Like, you get to
Ooh, okay. I'm super.
consistently make land drops.
Okay, seeing cards in here, I'm. By the way, you want some of the worst freaking dual lands ever printed? Here you go.
Oh, enters
Oh,
tapped. Enters tapped pain land.
yeah.
Why? There's just a like the pain lands got printed in Ice Age. They had to like go out of their way to print a worse one. Uh
So I'm looking at Roar of the Worm and thinking that's a nice place to be. Cards neat. They added the number of I think conspiracy cards to this set to get them on Magic Online back in the day.
hmm.
Madness is real. We saw in the last pack there was a Aquamoeba in there. Cycling
Huh.
also has a pretty big thing going on in here. This
Yeah, and
set,
we're looking at Basking Rootwalla also, so kind of like on the lookout for green blue cards in this.
yeah. I'm
Hmm.
interested in the Roar and seeing if we can get like that going for. Holy shit!
Karmic Guide. Yeah, another
Hmm.
dark ritual. Wait a minute.
Yeah, Dark Rit number
Oh,
2.
right. This is not a cube.
No,
Sorry, I need to recalibrate my brain.
these are booster packs. We are opening boosters.
All
Um,
right. Should have picked reanimate, I guess, because now we have this.
yeah, I'm a huge fan of Karmic Guide. It's one of my favorite cards. This is also a card that has a number of bits that work really well in the cube. There are some like blink bits. Um,
Oh, nice.
Stoic.
Oh, yeah. Maybe we can like revel arc it back. How cool would that be?
Yeah, Astral Slide is the one I'm thinking of because we have like Stoic Champion and some cycling cards here. I might go ahead and pick this up and see if that actually gives us a direction. It could obviously not, but you know.
Okay.
Sorry, what does this do?
Reign of the Pit. Uh, uh, that
Cool.
that seems kind of dumb. Um, hmm.
Yeah, big worm. Hmm, we got Kindle.
Straight up Kindle. The OG.
We got better fixing than that last piece. The trick here is that Thawing Glaciers is actually like slow, but it's very effective fixing. If we pick up the worm and find a way to dump it for Karmic Guide, that's actually like real.
Yeah, that's better than Gilded Light, which would have been like my backup, just because it has cycling
Yeah.
and is it white and like vaguely useful.
Yeah, the aberration. Ooh, hey,
Huh.
how you doing? Aberration's also something we can cycle to pick up with Karmic Guide.
Yeah.
You know,
No, I don't hate that.
other bit.
Trying to
Okay,
think it's there.
other.
Oh, there's a lot of cycling in this. Wow.
Yes, yeah, we have a pretty heavy amount of cycling to make those decks function. Green white also has like an aura theme, and cards like Deathblade Elite and Phantom Nomad are kind of your target. You know,
Ooh, the old
This
style of
has, yeah,
Phantom.
this is a true Phantom rather than a current Phantom.
Yeah.
This one also just can pull anything into a fight. Um, so I like Elvish
Oh,
Apparition
true.
as a destroy target
Okay.
permanent. Hell
Stra-
yeah. Desert Twister.
that classic green effect of destroy target permanent
Yep.
in like Magic's second ever expansion. No, first ever expansion set.
Yeah. We also have Armor of Thorns and other Armor of
Or
Thorns.
Armor of Thorn. We have cool Jeff here.
I'd also like to note one of the most powerful cards in this pack. One of the rudest fogs that exists.
Yeah, it's a fog and a tap.
This is
It's like
effectively
two fogs.
double fog.
It's it's so gross.
I'm on the get big plan.
Fog plus sleep. It's more Armor of Thorns. Oh, we could have been rich.
Well, Elephant Guide though. Maybe we do want to find some lower curve aura stuff, and we can get that going on here. You know, Elephant Guide's always nice stuff. Triangle of War.
Well, I like Elephant Guide more than any of the other picks in this pack,
Yeah.
apart from maybe Circular Logic, if we say, well, there's been no white support so far, but there definitely has been, so.
Yeah.
Yeah, like there are some white cards.
Yep.
Arguably.
A literal exile, huh?
Man, they probably hate that that card exists because they could definitely design a much cooler card that is called Exile.
Well, the problem is, like, this is a card I bet they would love to reprint if it didn't have the color restriction, right?
Yeah.
I'm gonna pick it here. I kind of like having it is good removal. Dark Rit Reanimate still hang? Okay, hold on. Renewed Faith still hanging out. Do I just want to pick that up and then our curve is very bad. That's fine.
It's okay. We're making our land drops with thawing glaciers.
Right.
No problem.
I'm gonna go ahead and pick the Renewed Faith. I don't believe in the full. Okay, well, we get some cycling lands. Black does look like it's got a little bit more open, obviously, here, but like having cycling lands, these are actually really powerful.
No one believed in Dark Ritual, huh? Could have had my Gilded Light anyway, but we'll pick a creature. Hey, maybe the Aura's plan is real.
Yep.
I officially hope that we don't end up in Auras because Auras, but if it, if it's the powerful cards that we get, then there you go.
I'm fine with it if we have cards like Elephant Guide or as our payoffs, because this is one of the, the whole point.
Like we saw Imperial Armor early.
Yeah.
And that was, someone wanted that, I guess.
Chroma's Blessing, Cabal Ritual, Mana War. Oh, Literal Plateau. Okay.
Huh. Destroy target non-swamp land.
I feel bad for not going in on the Dark Rits now. That would have been funny.
Turn 1, we 2-for-1 ourselves to destroy your non-swamp.
Yeah, destroy your non-swamp. Hope you're not swamp. Nothing in here really. Maybe the shoat. Like, that thing does just fine at like being a body on the ground and then is really big.
Yeah, pretty unexciting as a first pick, but
yeah,
there's really nothing else for us.
Oh, here you go.
Ah, the Crozen Tusker. Now, this thing does work.
This is exactly the sort of bit we want for Karmic Guide, and also having a curve that looks like this. Ooh, look at those Goblin Trenches. Yeah, other bits in here that are nice. You know, this is actually a pretty cool one. And this is a card that was in, um, God, one of the early, like, either one of the early Commander products or like one of those early side products that was like a really neat kind of like
Yeah.
multiple disenchant bit
Yeah.
regrowth
If you,
proper.
I haven't seen it before, but if you said anything other than Commander product, I was going to like kind of scratch
Yeah.
my chin.
Judgment, regrowth, another faithful, parts for the storm deck, Serenib, literal giant strength.
The Tempest reprint of Giant Strength from Legends.
Yeah, I'm okay with Radiant's Judgment here. Regrowth could also be okay. Ooh.
Dream Pod Druid?
So
What?
this one's actually pretty nifty because it's a bear and it's each upkeep.
Yeah, that's the Verdant Force kind of style of trigger, but
Yes.
what kind of fake card is that? I have to look this up now. God, there's so many fake cards.
Obviously, Finn Hornells would be something I'd be super interested in as well. But seeing Dream Pod Druid makes me want to kind of find a couple other useful bits to go with it and like use that as our way to survive early rather than like Elves ramp because we do have a number of other ways of getting our lands down. Plane Chase.
Okay.
Oh boy.
Plane Chase 2012. Yeah, I had to look that up.
Huh. Literal
Wow.
survival, huh? I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
I pitch a monster and find a karmic guide.
I'm very sorry because I want that other Dream Pod Druid, but
Yeah.
we have a karmic guide. Like, this is the way I can just discard Symbiotic Worm and go get the karmic guide. Like, Brindleshote's back. Nature's Lore. I don't hate that.
That's technically ramp. It puts the forest untapped.
Yes, the Nature's Lore is
Yeah.
pretty cool like that.
That's somewhat unusual for a rampant growth.
Yep. Yeah. This
Doesn't
was,
fix unless we get a duel, but
who knows? Maybe we find literal savannah here. We saw plateau and too.
we saw a plateau. We did Savannah.
I like that. None of the other creatures in here are really. Oh well. This is a lot more powerful now that we have a survival.
A survival, yeah.
We
We get to play the Root Walla and tutor a creature. Hooray!
Yep.
No, but the real use case for that scenario is they're attacking you. The Root Walla. We have enough mana to like play and pump Root Walla, and then surprise, we're doing it.
Yeah, I like it because it's free. It's a freebie. It's oh boy. I don't think we can stack.
Good old smokestack. Yeah, if we had more guaranteed ways of having a Saproling every turn, then smokestack would seem a little better.
Yeah,
but
our only way we have is the biggest card in our deck. I kind of like having another revival effect.
Yeah.
Simian Grunts is basically that trick you just mentioned. This is here for jumping down in combat. This is a blue card from Kaldheim. Weird. I might value the Halo more because of this. I also could just pick the plateau for like a possible FTK showing up. That might be safer. Like, because like it's like, oh well, what card might you? It's Flame Tongue Kavu. That's the card I would splash. The card I would splash is named Flame Tongue Kavu.
Yeah, maybe.
I'll hide
kind
that.
of an army in a can.
More faithful. Really much.
Oh my goodness.
Okay.
Did not expect that.
I need to find more bits for... Take the cycling land here. Okay.
We now need Moras.
Yeah, so
more
I have 2.
auras.
I have 2. I have Armor of Thorns and Elephant Guy, but I think I want 4. Obviously, they're played anyway because they're...
I'm sorry. What?
So, players can't cast spells during combat. Target creature attacks this turn if able.
What the hell is that? Why are they putting fake cards?
So again, like this set was made to put cards on Magic Online.
Yeah.
And a lot of products that existed in paper for those 3 years didn't exist on Magic Online, you know? So that's why Bassandra's here.
Commander 2011.
Yes. I probably am fine picking Bassandra up. Worst case, if we don't have the color, I can just... She goes away and then comes back later? Like...
Yeah.
Yep, Bouncer.
Like if we were like strongly against splashing red, Crows and Tusker, which is, or I guess Radiant's Judgment 2 would be the thing, but we're clearly fine with splashing red. That is an aura.
And a playable one,
and
that.
Protection on top of the aura. Oh.
Yes.
That sounds troublesome.
Yeah, we don't really have a deck where Burning Wish can do anything.
Yeah, Burning Wish gets sorceries, right?
Yeah, it's very good constructed. Well, what's our aura payoff? Dream Pod Druid, which is Verdant Force, if enchanted. Like, literal. Us having 2 copies of this in the deck would make me play Brilliant Halo. Let's just say that. Especially like even like Deathblade Elite coming back, because this has Provoke, and if we, this can be just removal.
Oath of Druids, huh? Didn't know that was a thing.
We're not really an Oath deck. I'm sorry. That's I think I'm actually gonna pick this up. Funky to want to go for this, but I mentioned Battle Screech is a common in this set. And
gross.
I kind of need an answer to that sort of stuff. Because Battle Screech, for those not familiar with the card, is a 4-mana white sorcery that effectively just makes 4 1/1 flyers. That's not actually its text, but that's what happens when the card is cast. So, and there are obviously ways to pump your team.
Destroy all green creatures. Man, oh man.
Oh. Oh. Ooh, Graveyard Order. Ooh. Oh, are you ready for Graveyard Order to matter?
Oh, I'm ready.
Oh.
Yeah, let's do it. It can block Battle Screech tokens for a minute before it dies.
This is the worst version of this card, because I believe Perish says can't be regenerated on it.
Yeah, Perish was like the buried.
But yes, old sideboard cards sure were win the game on resolution. Like, like that was... This is gonna be really nice for us. Like, damn. That's an exciting card for... Oh, yeah, okay. All right.
Oh, wow. So I know we have 2 lands that cycle. We have a couple...
Yeah, we
have like forest cyclers, land cyclers.
Yeah, we have like
straight up cyclers.
Yeah, it's like Elder Apparition, Radiance Judgment, Claws of Wirewood, Renewed Faith, and I think there's one more cycler. Astral Slide have any ETB payoffs? I don't know. Could be any card in our deck that has some ETB payoffs. Not sure, I have to
Yeah,
think on
we would
that.
be a little unhappy if we had to like do the ETB payoff with like Taro's Faithful, but
You're right. But
that at least does function.
you can also just use it to remove your opponent's creatures from combat. Like, Astral Slide's a very, very powerful card. Oh, yeah, they put Brago in here. Brago's another blink payoff. This is like a way to make blinks payoff. Armor of Thorns. I might pick this over the third Faithful. Like, just so we can have another dang thing to put on the Dream Pod Druid. I like that our deck has like 3 different plans, and we have like a couple pieces of glue holding it together. Like, you know, Karmic Guide and Survival are going to be doing a lot of... If you cycle something that has Echo, it will re-echo when it comes back, yes.
Wow, another Elephant Guide.
That's way better than an Armor of Thorns. It even
Okay.
curves. You know?
Like, so this is just the guides deck. We got Karmic Guide and an Elephant Guide.
Elephants guide me.
Easy.
Yeah. Probably fine with Noble Templar. Get another Cycler in the deck. We already have a Claws. This is also like a fine reanimation bit.
I'm preferring that to the creature, and it can fix for red.
Yes, because we can plane cycle for Plateau, and we do have our one bit that we're playing. Pick up another Judgment that cycles.
Oh, we're just going back to Monsterland. The yeah, what's it called? Ikoria. Build the cycling deck from Ikoria.
Yeah, except for our payoffs are like way different.
It's true.
Ooh. This thing's fine. It's like not that great until we put an Elephant Guide on it, and then it's really great.
Then it can be like targeted Abyss.
Yeah. Take Brago. I'm not playing Brago, but yeah, put a Zenith Flare in this.
Give us a Zenith Flare.
So the thing about this, again, with all the cycling cards, is that this is a cube, or not a cube, this is a set that contains Lightning Rift, which is the other card. The other card that goes with Astral Slide. So Astral Slide is the oldest, you know, cycling payoff card. The oldest like big played one, but also like the most known. Lightning Rift is a little bit lesser known. But Lightning Rift was 1 less cost. Whenever your player cycled a card, you may pay 1. If you do, shock.
I forgot that's whenever a player.
Yeah, also Astral Slide is a player, not just you.
Oh, jeez, that's gonna be messed up.
Yes. Yes, they literally said when they built this set, like, we're just putting some conspiracy cards in here because we didn't print conspiracy on Magic Online, along with Plane Chase and a lot of other sets. Like, the whole point of this set was to get cards onto Magic Online. Renewed Faith, a Revival Suite, Guy's Embrace, Karmic Guide, Cycling Big Things, and then this stuff at the top, Cassandra, and I probably need more creatures, actually. This is a little too low on creature count right now, so we'll have to adjust a little bit. Phantom Nomad is probably fine in a deck with Elephant Guides. Turo's Faithful is fine in a deck with Astral Slide. Grossand Vorine is also fine. Put these in and then we'll adjust. So this is our non-creature setup. This is a master set from years back. Yes, it was. This is not a paper set as well. Is one of the big things about it. All right, I want to know how many cycling cards I have right now. Renewed Faith, Renewed Faith. We 100% play Glaciers. The reason I picked that, that was my first pick, is that it was going to fit in every single deck we played. Like, the only deck we wouldn't fit Thawing Glaciers in would have been, like, the most aggressive...
Kind of like heavy aggro, right?
Yeah, the most aggressive... This is after the, like, other online Masters products. So... all right, I just want my color right now because I want to. All right, I want to know cards that cycle because I actually want to know how Astral Slide looks in the deck. Like, is it something I want to include? Looks like it's 7 cards. And I have a couple others I can include, like that are a little bit more sideboard bits. Claws of Wirewood, and Radiance Judgment. Radiance Judgment being fine against, like, you know, honestly, like this sort of strategy where it's like we Elf and Guide on a Druid, and then Claws being good against the Battle Screech decks. So, I don't know. It's hard to... Like, we might want more if we actually want to fit Astral Slide in the list. It might be fine not having a way to blink the guide if we have a couple ways to recur the guide otherwise. In Breath of Life and Mist Moon Griffin. What else am I... Breath of Life does not cycle. This is just Zombify, but in white. We're not cutting
we're
glaciers.
Not cutting glaciers. We're just counting lands.
We're doing a different action than making the deck, and lands are the last bit. The glaciers are in the deck 120%. I'll put them there so that they are known that. Like, I probably should take an aside to talk about the power of this card.
Let's talk about the power of Thawing Glaciers.
So, Thawing Glaciers is a card that comes to play tapped. Next turn, you tap it, search for a basic land, put that land into play tapped. You know, okay. Like a fetch bit. Usually this is something you might think of as like a Terramorphic Expanse effect, some sort of fetch. Its drawback, rather than sacrificing, is that Thawing Glaciers bounces. So, every time you activate Thawing Glaciers, you are going +1. That is to say, every 2 turns, 1 to play it, 1 to activate it and let it bounce. You won't be able to replay it that turn. You get to fetch a land from your deck and put it into play. This ensures land drops even when you're not hitting them, because you play the Thawing Glaciers, keep playing that. This ensures thinning out of the deck. This ensures slow but steady for our deck being able to get up to these high mana cost cards. And it gives us a card advantage bit in our lands. There is effectively no world where I'm playing a deck that wants to get up to, like, big mana that I would disinclude this card. That would be the most foolish choice.
Yeah. Other incidental bits,
mm-hmm.
It's repeated shuffle effects. So if you have a bunch of brainstorms, you can, like, pretty much guarantee you're getting what you want.
Yep. You might wonder, well, it's got really strange wording. Thawing Glaciers returns to its owner's hand at the beginning of the next cleanup step. The oldest, what Thawing Glaciers was on print at original was at end of turn, bounce Thawing Glaciers. Those more astute of you might notice that at end of turn isn't actually the last action that happens in your end step. you are able to take actions in your end step. Think like I tap Kiki Jiki to make a copy, and the copy sticks around on my turn. Is one of the more common types of that. So without this errata, the card would be at your end step, you use it, you untap, then you use it again, and you get a double use out of it. You can still get double uses out of Thawing Glaciers with any land untap effects. Our deck does not contain those, though. From the cards I saw, I did not see any thing like that. Anyway, so the card is 100% in the deck. I'm worried Astral Slide just isn't enough in this deck, and maybe the Renewed Faiths are the cut. Because, like, if we cut out these cards here, put Thawing Glaciers over here, put these over here, we're at 25 with these two cycling lands in the deck. So that gets us just to 23. Isn't Blinking a Namba with the Auras? Astral Slide is a May. You don't have to do it. So, yeah. I'm not going to be blinking our Dreampod Druid, but the idea is this targets anything. We can choose to target some of our more...
Okay. Tell you what. We'll bring it in against an opponent's cycling deck. And
that's where it's funny. So, could swap out one of those Faithful for another creature here. Simian Grunts or Brindle Shoat. Goblin Trenches, perhaps. Goblin Trenches is actually a pretty cool game ender for like a late game scenario.
I mean, we are pulling out a lot of lands if we're using the Thawing Glaciers.
Yeah, it is. Because there's no once per turn or tap or anything like that on that. You just end step, go, I'll pay 8, sack 4 lands. Here's 8 1/1s that effectively have haste. So that could possibly be better than the Faithful if we're already playing red. We are going to play a mountain because we have multiple fetchers. Noble Templar is in the deck because it plane cycles, which fixes for us. It plane cycles, which puts a creature in the graveyard for us. It plane cycles, which, there's like, if this was a 3/6 with no text, nobody would play it. But that is not what the card is. So,
I mean, it even has vigilance.
Yeah.
How can you say no?
Yeah. Same with Aberration. I wouldn't be playing the card if it didn't Forest Cycle, but because it Forest Cycles, it becomes a nice thing for us to reanimate with Karmic Guide early. Becomes a nice, advantage bit for us as the game goes on. Especially with, I wish we had more of this. This card's actually, like, super interesting. So. Anyway, mana base looks fine. Yeah, so we can fetch for red with a lot of actions here. I'm going to include the mountain because we have a number of them. Again, we have a number of ways to fetch that specific mountain through Tusker, through Thawing Glaciers are the main two. I like that Noble Templar can fix for red as well.
Frozen Vereen made it. All right.
Yep, this is...
I'm down.
Yeah, this thing's probably I would consider the 23rd, but I really like the idea of it suited up.
Yeah.
Like,
that'll get them.
It suited up is just going to be the Abyss, is the hope. It easily can, in different matchups, become Simian Grunts. Simian Grunts kind of does a similar kill effect, getting somebody in combat.
More of a surprise.
So, I'm hopeful for these disparate decks to come together. We definitely have some very strange, disparate decks.
Yeah, like we can have opening hands that have good mana and a bunch of auras. And be like, oh dear.
But survival is a good...
Survival of the fittest and Karmic Guide to like forgive our sins. Yeah. Desert Twister is the universal answer.
Any problem. We don't have a ton of removal. That's tragic. Yeah, that's tragic. Can't keep it. This is like
we're not keeping one forest and all of this stuff.
Nope. This looks fine.
That's more like it.
Might throw back forest because we've got both of Nature's Lore and an Aberration.
Sounds good to me. Nature's Lore is almost certainly our turn 2.
Yeah. So this thing, like, is not a great creature, but there are a number of aggro decks where I am happy to have this against, and it makes for a decent, like, here's my obvious board out, you know? So we shall see. Survival. Having survival is just such a... I'm kind of stunned to see that coming around, you know?
It's pretty good. We can even, like, survival for the Crows and Tusker just to, like, pull a ramp out of our deck.
Okay.
That is in the scenario where we have survival of the fittest at all, but... All right, it was a rampant growth this time.
Yep.
For it. Oh!
I see.
Also in our player cycles, yeah. Same wording.
That means we do this right now. Because that costs 1. So let's get this gone before it becomes a liability. We can also breath it.
Yeah. Also, we did not draw a land, so we get to make use of our land drop by doing this.
Yep.
Basically works.
Okay. I am worried that... Okay. Tap fetch. Sure.
Oh no, Crows and Tusker.
I'm just going to take this back, pick this right back up.
Sure. It's pretty big.
Let's us cast Roar. Roar could be very bad against this opponent. If they actually have slide, we are in a very bad position, you know? Like,
yeah. Like exile.
I see.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Huh.
STP. Well, we're not casting anything with that.
Actually fetching black. Oh, no. What is...
Oh,
no.
Oh God!
Oh, they're gonna.
They definitely have. They 100% have Astral Slide.
Yeah, this is an Astral Slide player, and they are going to be. Well. Oh boy. I have very bad news. Let's cycle this while the getting's good.
Shields are down.
Okay. You like land destructions? Yes, I would like to use that ability. I am going to grab that.
Oh ho. Well now.
That is a nice inevitability bit. I think I'm okay playing it because my next play is faithful, basically no matter what.
Yeah. The battlefield currently contains an engine that pulls lands out of our deck and puts it in the grave.
Right. Land creation versus land destruction.
Mm.
Who shall win? All right. 24 turn clock. Like, yeah, obviously they've
it's gonna look like a little less than that when we have a Tyro's Faithful down.
That's nice.
Yeah, I don't hate that.
I want to just go for the Glacier then.
Yeah, we're not under a ton of pressure, so.
End step cycle. To end its Renewed Faith. Renewed Faith was the card you cycled to these things. The aggro decks at the time were so powerful, sometimes you just cast this and then Wrath on 4. And that was how you won. Because you were fighting decks like Affinity and full power goblins.
That's pretty slick. Well, thinking to our sideboard, we got that card that was like each opponent sacrifices an enchantment, right?
Yeah, that's going to be really necessary here.
Yeah.
Our own Astral Slide might be cool to have. Okay, so again,
look good here, of course, but
is a May, and like looks a lot better if we were getting down something like this.
So you're going so hard for it. Well, I love this opponent.
Well, again, the power here is you might think like, oh wow, you know, they've spent 3 cards to no, they've spent 0 cards to do this because every single one of these, you know, draws back. So they've spent mana to shock us. They have not spent resource to shock us. That's what makes it so dangerous. That's why Astral Slide was such a consistent deck, too. Oh, hey there.
Peddlish Trapper.
Okay, let's go ahead and Thawing Glaciers, get that second Plains. It's an annoyance because it's like a decent answer to, you know.
Yeah, like our big boys don't have hexproof or anything, so that can kind of be, again, the kind of mana for effect lock that our opponent has going on.
Okay. I think we just want to guide, and then
probably replay Glaciers in that scenario, then. Huh?
Yeah. And then it would be like play Faithful, leave up activation. Or pay for guide if I'm really feeling it.
Right. I'm guessing that she's going to get shocked.
That's fine. That's what this card... I didn't want to pay 5 anyway. Like... Please. 4 colors. Alright.
There it is, the Tusker.
Also, do have to note we have to be careful about cycling this because of the way these cards work. We've said it a couple times, but worth repeating because you might think, well,
yeah, worth keeping in mind that they just get a trigger off of their Lightning Rift.
Mm-hmm.
We've done that multiple times this game already, even, and it's, I think, still worth repeating.
Mm-hmm. All right, what's there?
My guess is going to be cycle a thing. Oh, look at that.
Weird. I feel like that's going to be every action they take for the rest of this game.
They're playing Ikoria.
Yeah.
They found a way.
Yeah, but they're
Ikoria draft again.
Oh, they're playing Onslaught draft, really.
Well, yeah.
I mean, that's
my most recent like direct memory.
Yeah.
This is kind of what it felt like to play against the completed cycling deck in Ikoria. It did not feel very interactive.
All right, I am not paying for that Karmic Guide. That's fine. No, thank you. All right. Yeah, let's go to combat. They're not gonna let me in, but auras are very bad against Astral Slide. Yes. Same with tokens.
We're just going up against our hard counter game 1, match 1. No big deal.
Here's my moment. I'm assuming they have slide because they are playing Goblin
there's
Settler.
no way Goblin Settler remains in the deck if you don't also have Astral Slide.
That to me is like 95%. Like they're like probably higher, to be honest. Oh God.
Holy
slide deck
smokes.
with an FTK, huh? All right. That hurts.
Oh wow. Didn't even cycle that. They have, well, I guess they wanted to leave up tap target creature, but still.
I talked about FTK as the reason I would want to splash red, because I feel it's like the strongest goddamn thing possible. Like, all right, we're gonna go grab that.
At the Hero Mountain.
Yeah, I think we grab the Hero Mountain here. Survival, nothing to discard at the Mo, so that'll look nice though. Probably just cast Roar.
Down with that.
Really,
like, I mean, we know that they have a card in their deck that can fight it, but like they have to draw it.
And it's very cheap on the flashback. This card happens twice. Usually you discard it and use the back half, you know, for a 4-mana 6/6. That's the idea, but you can just play both sides. Alright, please don't.
Oh man,
that's
this is it
that's
right here.
It right here, right? It's either that or a splash.
Are they trying to fake us out? If I just tap 3 mana, including a white, they'll think I'm playing Astral Slide it. Oh, okay.
Sure, that functions.
That's a much more honest way to answer a creature. Thanks for that.
That does its job. We're taking 5 here. Our life total's starting to get not great, because, you know,
Yeah,
like,
we have yet to see what the blue or the black are for, other than Rocky Tar Pit fetching the swamp.
Yeah.
Okay, didn't want to see that, but make do with what we got, I guess.
Yep. Keep using the Thawing Glaciers, keep getting the lands out of the deck, keep, you know, maybe we find trenches and just go to town. Maybe we...
Yeah. Okay, so next turn you're going to draw like the worst creature in your deck. And we're gonna survival for something better than that. What are we still getting? Because Karmic Guide is gone.
We're probably leaning to get the Root Walla, then whatever the best creature is. Symbiotic Worm is here. But Worm has trouble against this. I want a Desert Twister, this stupid trapper, but at the same time I want to... Alright, so kill our worm, or just, we're dead.
Yeah. Okay, so we take 5, and then what? 3 cycles does us in. Is that what we're feeling?
That's what I would assume
Kind of a lot of
here.
mana. They would need to be cycle for 1 each. Oh, well, now one of them can be cycling for 2.
Or Fireball.
Predator flagship.
Holy shit.
What on earth?
Hell yeah. Hell yeah.
Thanks for showing us that, I guess.
Predator is exactly what it looks like. It's very expensive. Destroy target creature.
Yeah. I mean, I think next turn, what it's going to do is give all their creatures flying.
Yeah. I can attack for 18. Not quite enough.
Yeah, shame. Both of our auras right there, and
yeah, I'm not showing them because I don't want them to know how powerful that stuff is. All right, let's move on to 2.
Hills.
So,
we have failed to beat back the hills.
Tribute our own slide. Feel like the Faithful's also fine for that reason.
Maybe like shave some auras because
yeah,
really going.
Like again, I feel it's actually maybe the Vorine is pretty fine as a shave because that's a 2 toughness creature.
Oh yeah, that's
hard to
like we want to keep the possibility that we get a like a Dream Pod Druid into aura on it.
Yeah.
Before like, the bad news happens. Wait, what is the text of exile? Target non-white attacking creature. I mean, they hardly attacked, but
the only creature that would hit that, and like if they do have slide, this can't function.
Yeah.
So, I'm gonna try this. We're gonna keep the guides.
Yeah, I mean, provoke is capable of removing creatures ever. However, the creature that we have with provoke is a 3/2. So we're worried that it's just going to die to the lightning rift before it can do any actions.
Yeah, also comes down too slowly is the let's like if this were the 1-mana 1/1, for instance.
Yeah, no problem. We're just gonna have a hand that we can keep. And yep.
Yep. Yeah, it looks like a can we can keep. I'm gonna play
just play the step.
Yeah.
I'm fine with that.
I want to guarantee that I'm untapped on 3.
Okay. So the next card we're going to draw is whatever the enchantment destruction thing is. That
just
I forget what it's called.
Get that going right off the bat.
Yeah.
I'd like another forest. Wouldn't mind that. All right. Okay.
Oh, there it is.
Okay.
Forest.
So.
Ooh, if they get Vayne and attack with their thing, we can surprise.
I'm gonna hold up that possibility.
That's right. We totally have nothing going on. Nothing that could happen at instant speed to ruin you if you attack with your squire. It's a perfectly safe attack. We have an open board.
Okay, they're smart enough to know that.
They did not take the bait.
They're extremely smart enough to know that. That's fine.
Our very terrible bait that it's okay. But this is one of the reasons that you shouldn't just like attack with your squire for no reason, by the way. It's
okay, so
correct.
we get maybe just grab worm and discard worm?
Digit right away. I like that. And then pitch it for Cruisin' Tusker.
Or pitch it for the Misty Griffin thing.
Sure. We can even play that. That sounds good. Yeah, I mean, it was correct of us to allow the opponent to make that mistake, but I mean, I did not at all expect them to attack. And they didn't. So, expected outcome.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a good draw, actually. Old Plains. Gonna tap our Root Walla.
They're gonna tap the Root Walla. It's free. Like this is an action that costs them nothing effectively.
Yeah, I mean, it costs them. They don't get to cycle their secluded step right this second.
Now, in a deck like that.
Yeah. When they don't have any other payoffs out. And
yeah.
They payoffs. Not a high price. Nice draws, opponent.
Are we sliding? We're sliding, all right.
Okay.
We're there. Makes sense. We knew this was coming. Okay. Combat.
All right. We get to attack. Hooray!
All right. Here's the beatdown. Trying to push you onto the back foot. That sucks.
Yikes.
That's
that is a mana-efficient answer.
Extremely annoying.
We don't get our tokens.
I'm paying for Karmic Guide here.
Yeah, sounds fair.
2 power flyers seem to actually have a little bit of pressure on them right now.
Yeah, they don't possess the Lightning Rift right this second, so...
Oh, that's a nothing. So they tap one of the flyers, they take 3, because, this is not... Alternately, they take 4 and then cycle some stuff. Alternately, they start blinking our Karmic Guide to annoy us.
What a power move that would be. Like, blink your Karmic Guide to remove it from combat.
I think that's what's happening here.
And then, we don't have any creatures in grave.
I needed to draw a green source.
That would have been so dope.
Yeah, that's what they're doing.
All right.
They're going to make us keep paying 5 for their Karmic Guide. Which at this... And so we attack for 0. This is the power of Astral Slide, by the way. Would like to Yeah.
They got a pretty complete version of the deck, it looks like.
Yeah. Interested to see what the splashes are, but...
Yeah, we haven't really seen the blue. I imagined it's Mono War.
Yeah, that's fine, whatever. They kill this griffin and it gets no value, and then we pay for the karmic guy, and then we... lose to them blinking at FTK. Yeah, it's a non-optional as well. Perfect.
Ooh. Well, now. We get to show him a bit of spice.
Yeah, you gotta, like, cycle Noble Templar. Yeah, Astral Slide, it has been decades since this deck was real, you know? Onslaught is a very ancient set, you know? And so you might not be familiar with just how powerful this card is. Very.
Yeah, it's a little unassuming looking, but then I think with the play patterns that we've seen so far, it's already demonstrated its power.
Yeah. It was the first...
Impressed that they were able to do this much on that little land. Like,
well, yeah, Slide is mana efficient as well. Okay, so they're just playing... Yep. This is the part I was afraid of, where we just start getting FTK'd for the rest of the game. Yeah. Slide was one of the first constructed decks I remember building. Modern is way too slow for Astral Drift to be any good these days, is the problem. Like, they're
yeah.
like, Modern is a format where you... I might discard this Nomad. Let's see what we can grab. I can grab Druid and equip Druid. Oh, God, this is a 4/4, right? 4 toughness, huh? Just grab Aberration. This has 5 toughness.
Yeah, we can pretend to put up a fight for a bit.
Yeah, this game has been lost for a little while, but you know, we can make it look like it's a game. Yeah,
Then we got our druid elephant guide combo. We made it.
Yeah, we got the combo. Here it is. Which we would play, and then they'd cycle a card, and then Dreampod Druid would leave. And Elephant Guide only cares on death. So
Yep. That's... Yep.
Yeah. But yeah, current in Modern Horizons there is Astral Drift, which is basically Astral Slide, but like formatted as a modern card, so it's whenever you cycle.
Right. And it has cycling itself.
Yeah. The problem there is that tapping out for a 3-mana do nothing in Modern is not anywhere close to viable. Sadly. Yeah. Yeah, basically. The other bits with Astral Slide that made it very nice was that it had like a lot of the best decks at the time were creature based, which lets you, you know, you can interact with them. If you're fighting, you know, Astral Slide with a control deck, like it's harder for your slide to do anything. The later versions of Astral Slide, the green-white versions, kind of bypass that because when you're blinking Eternal Witness, you don't really care.
Right, are they finally going to use the black mana?
We'll see like a Nephilim here.
Of course not.
Okay.
They're just gonna become invincible.
Anthony Carnstrom, thank you very much for the sub. I appreciate it. We're having a time fighting against age-old slide deck. I don't know if I said thank you to PokeCabin either, but thank you to PokeCabin as well for the earlier sub. Because like when you Astral Slide and blink Eternal Witness, you just pick up the Secluded Step again. You know, like.
Yeah, all of these survivations.
Now that's what I call deck thinning.
Get us closer to those crucial lands.
The other card they would blink at the time with the deck after Mirrodin was Viridian Shaman. When you're in a world of artifact lands, destroy target permanent on a 2/2 is pretty good to blink. The other signature card of Astral Slide at the time was a morph, the morph that for the first round of morphs, it was always Exalted Angel, because if you flicker a morphed creature with Astral Slide, it comes back face up. So you'd play Slide, you'd put down you'd put down your Exalted, you'd cycle a card, Exalted would come back in as a 4/5 with effective lifelink. I don't think anyone in Constructed ever played more. Well, I guess I'm speaking more to tournament level. Like, Void Mage Prodigy was not a tournament level card. The only other morph that ever saw tournament play would have been Whip Quarter. And even that was like...
From that round of morphs, for sure.
Yeah, from round
Time
one.
Spiral and on, there were some others, but...
Yeah, from the first round, specifically.
Yeah.
The wizards that all had morph were terribly useless, as they all cost way more than they needed for their effect, and their bodies were basically hot garbage. The only one that kind of lived out in memory was Willbender, which also never really saw too much play because it, you need a deck that wants to be playing blue creatures that also cares about redirecting. Ew. So annoying. My only plan I have here, by the way, as to winning, is to overwhelm them with 5+ toughness creatures. That's it. That's my plan.
That's what we got.
Right. Right. We also, they have an inevitability bit. I forgot about that.
Yeah. Yet another inevitability machine on top of their cheap, efficient removal and slowdown engine.
Yeah.
So if it weren't sewn up before, it pretty much definitely is now.
That card was also
one creature in deck.
Yeah, I think our only win con left is Trenches.
That's pretty good, actually.
Yeah.
Surprise, it was goblins all along, idiot.
The CMC Matters cards were also, like, not really playable in any way. At least you didn't, like, try to cheat to get them to be more playable. One thing about them is that the CMC Cares cards that were in Scourge were a very small cycle of the set. It wasn't actually a major theme. It was a pretty minor theme in a small set. So, oh boy, I guess that's what we're doing here. All right. By God, that flying Kavu.
From my perspective, they really don't need to play cards anymore.
No.
Just use that mana to destroy one of our creatures every single turn. Asymmetric Abyss, a big...
And now I don't want to kill the... Wait, killing the bird basically doesn't do anything because it just comes back as a yet different bird.
Bird will replace bird.
This is a nothing.
Well, I mean, they're down to one card in hand. They might be finally out of fuel. With a cycling deck, you tend to, like, bookend on lands.
Yeah.
I mean, in the constructed world, those lands also have cycling, but here in limited, you only get so many picks at that. Nice creature, by the way.
So I want to get through for damage is the hope. If we can put any damage on them. Okay, they're just gonna sack bird for bird. I want to hit them for... Obviously, we want to get damage on them so that the turn where we just draw trenches and go, is like we're able to race. Thawing Glaciers would be a fine draw. In the sense that, like, it would give us thinning and the ability to start, getting the trenchers ready. Our current problem... I found the blue splash. Holy shit.
Yeah, okay. It wasn't for Keen Eye Aven.
All right, new win con. Their deck contains 16 cards. We're looking at 5. Maybe they just don't count. Perhaps.
The secret win con, getting to exhaustive draw.
Yeah, perhaps exhaustive draw works. Yep. Flicker my Noble Templar. As long as they don't notice it, it's a plan. Anyway, the thing I was saying that's actually a problem for us, we've been actually doing a lot of thinning with survival and such. To the point where all of our creatures are out of our deck. Our deck contains 15 cards with 8 of those as lands. So the next couple draws are going to look like, wow, you're running lands. That's bad luck. That's not luck.
Well, no, we did it. We manipulated it.
Yeah, we actually forced that. So that's not luck. That's just what's happening. We're taking 6 in the air. Drawing our own slide would be fine. Because we could start sliding the Faithful to try to fog turns.
Yeah, so bleeding. Damage done at this point. Do we have to target the flagship?
I think we have to target the flagship.
I think we do. Like, so far they have not realized that they can just kill something every turn, but hey.
Well, we can't target the FTK. They have a Spark Spray in hand to knowingly cut that. Annoyingly, they actually have this little mana prism as a buffer for our edict.
Oh, it's second artifact or enchantment?
Yes.
Oh, wow.
It's a disenchant.
This is the hard counter of a deck. Like, seriously.
Yeah. So our deck right now contains Trenches, the Edict, 8 lands. That's 10 of the cards. It contains a couple auras still. Yeah, a couple auras.
I thought we sided out the
still
auras.
we did, but we left in the Elephant Guide. So.
The man is named Hills.
Okay, good. Happy to see that.
Yes, we like this now. We've come around on it.
I like this, actually. Okay, they're just going to start taking out Faithfuls.
Oh, man. Can't wait to slam our own Astral Slide and deal with AppNap.
The fun part of the Astral Slide. By the way, the Astral Slide Mirror is the worst. For that reason. Because it's either player as well. So.
Oh?
They're killing this. It was something I expected them to do a long time ago, but they never actually took advantage of letting it go to combat and then dealing damage. Okay. It's fine.
Seems like not necessarily the best unless the next card on the top of our deck is Astral Slide, but...
Yeah. That's bad.
Okay.
Okay, that's bad and good.
Whoa. Offering the double block, I accept.
Yeah, I will 100% take this. Even if they like blink out a Faithful, I gain 4 life off that. I don't care. Oh.
What?
Did you remember this is power?
Hey, chicanery is what this is. Why did they target themselves? Oh my god. Okay.
They're gonna deck. They're not gonna realize it until they're too late, but they're gonna deck. Yup. It's too late. They've realized too late. I'm pretty sure. Yeah, so blink out the FTK. Uh-huh.
How did this become a game? This game has taken forever. we were in a losing state on like turn 5 or something. Is Time Twister in the set? Maybe?
If they pulled 2 pieces of power, like, sure.
Good way to go. We know what the blue is for, finally. Factor Fiction and Literal Ancestral Recall.
I got here 4. Okay, they're just going to blow up our... That's annoying.
Yeah, Plateau is gone.
Removes our coolest out.
Yeah. Oh, that guarantees that the next card is actually going to be the Goblins.
Okay, kill one of the Faithful.
Well...
Tap our Noble Templar. Pass it back.
Yeah, I think if our opponent loses here, it's because they were first concerned with their own invincibility rather than with ending our life. Wow, 2 cards in deck.
Yeah, I'm counting. Hold on. I'm counting. I either go to 9 or go to... I have a little bit of time to spare here. Go to 9, and then next turn, go to 2. I think we have to block the Flame Tongue here. I can't cycle my own Thicket.
That gives him a freebie.
Yeah, it gives him a free 2 damage, so I can't do that. Do you have a...
What on earth?
This is just them playing more... This is like another Blink target. It's like the worst FTK, but it's in this set, so... Are you gonna cycle your FTK? Okay, no. Stomp on my own upkeep, please. Roar. Roar would actually be good here. So is Breath of Life.
Yeah. Breath of Life would be pretty hot.
Okay, we know that we have a much higher chance of that, so...
Right. We talked about that.
2... They're representing lethal exactly. Yeah, if they all out, no. They're all out as 11. So they can cycle 1 card and kill us? We're at 2. Suchi! Oh, this game is over to either decking or damage, Adric. The other half of that equation doesn't matter right now. I wanted to play the mountain specifically because we searched it with Thawing Glaciers, and if I had enough blockers, we could prevent lethal damage.
Yeah.
So our only win con is them cycling a card for no reason. But they're not going to do that.
Yeah. They managed to squeeze it out. They found a way to kill us. Finally.
Yeah, if they had like something that drew in play.
Oh, an ETB draw card, that would be kind of hilarious.
All right.
No, that wouldn't quite work because it's like end of turn. Well, anyway.
Yeah. Okay, then.
Let's not go against any other Astral Slide opponents, please. That was painful.
I really love the reveal of their blue. I'm very happy about the reveal of their blue mana. That felt hilarious to me. Like, because, we see... we see, the actual trick is that if I cycle a card, they Lightning Rift and we die. But we see the Fact or Fiction, and that's the answer, right? It's like, oh, they're splashing blue for Fact or Fiction. That's a really good card. And then all of a sudden, things have changed, Sure.
All right. Maybe we get to have a nice normal one.
Yeah. Yeah, Phantom Nomad is a good carrier. Okay, goblins. I think we do decently against aggressive players like us.
So is Muxus in this set?
No. Yeah, I just want to be ready to play Phantom Nomad on 2. However, every other goblin you think of is in this set.
What?
Oh.
Wow.
Prospector going to town.
The aggro.
Doing this before the Nomad in case we draw.
Yeah, Elephant Guide specifically.
Elephant Guide specifically.
Yeah.
Okay. We've got like our faithful in the deck, and those, interact positively with what we've seen. Come on, now I just get to play some creatures. They missed a land drop.
Yeah, pretty tame looking so far.
Yeah, they have some sort of Kindle shock, something like that. Bolt proper. Okay, I was a little lower on the list of what I was expecting, but
No, one in, one out.
that was
cycle another Spark Spray?
That was cycle another Spark Spray. They're looking for that land drop they missed. Okay.
Joke's on you. Now we have a creature in the yard for Mistmoon Griffin.
Yep.
Ah, a legitimate goblin.
That is a new real threat. All right. Let's just play the Griffin and leave things back. It's pretty hard to attack into this. Worst case is what, Ringleader? Want to play Thawing Glaciers pretty soon here to start getting that going. Sure.
The goblins.
Okay, they're going wide.
We have to side in our Tivadar of Thorn.
Indeed. Okay, so Goblin get +1/+1. They get a pretty big come in. We go Mistmoon here, and either double on War Chief or double on Prospector. I think War Chief is more of a...
Yeah, I double on the Chief. That's typically like...
Oh, hold on, this should be this way then, right? Well, kind of want the Griffin dead.
Right?
Don't like that the Nomad gets a little bit depleted, but I'm much happier with that than any other outcome.
We're taking the Chief off the board. Goblins tends to be a secretly mana-hungry deck.
We also get back the Druid. As that will be the top creature of our graveyard here. Go to 5 is a little bit, again, we have Turo's Faithful if we can draw into those. Happy to have that. That gains us some life if they mess up. And only if they mess up. Still. One card left in hand. Okay. Let's learn if they have sixth.
Nice.
They can sack the goblin to gain, not let's
Right.
gain life is the joke there.
Oh.
Nothing really big to recur. Just gets us a root wall right now.
Yeah, I guess in this scenario we would have wanted to have cycled Elvish Aberration before that.
Yeah, we can just cast Aberration next turn too, so...
Yeah.
Probably just leave it back. Not going to push pressure until we...
No, not ready to start cracking in.
Not yet.
They have a 1/1. What could they... what kind of sudden offense could goblins possibly mount?
Thawing Glaciers, how you doing? Let's grow that forest. And then the cleanup step. It's good. Now I'm suddenly in for combat. Oh. Whatever. My brain was like, I am done. It's Drill Sergeant. This is whenever a goblin dies, you can pay 3 and flop a goblin off it. This one usually didn't make lists. A little too expensive. You can't reduce it.
Yeah, I'm not familiar with that one. And nowadays we have the sneak.
Yes.
So it seems like just the better thing.
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
That's quite nice here.
Our provocateur.
Let's push. So this is really nice in this position because specifically Goblin General is one of the better commons for the deck, and we eat it. You know, so.
I didn't realize that was a common.
The Goblin...
That's messed up.
That's the reason Goblins works as a draft, as a draftable archetype, is because it has real stuff at common that work. Their best play here would be Goblin Commando, killing Krosan Vorine.
Oh, yeah, okay. We don't get to rechain like.
Yeah, okay. All right, I guess I know what I've got to do for future games. Let's.
Wow.
Because I left up my dumb bluff mana.
It's like, yeah, I'm willing to trade. I don't like you getting a critical mass of goblins. Thank you.
Yeah, and like, sure, they get to activate this, but if it whiffs, it just mills a card. Okay. All right. All right. Okay. All right.
Very well.
Happy to see that.
That's pretty dope.
Give me back my Vorine, please. Thank you very much. The kind of interesting thing with the Drill Sergeant is that with Prospector, you can do like forced activations that generate mana. Obviously, that's why this costs 3 on the activation. Doing a pretty good hold against this. Happy to have that +3 life. That Chain Lightning being something that could have gone face is a lot more scary.
One of these days, we're gonna make a sapperling.
I know, right?
I can feel it.
Karmic Guide is here just to die. Druid's fine at dying. Breath of Life is here to pick up Karmic Guide to pick up another thing again. Like we're able to just rebuild this board at will.
We can do some pretty obnoxious rebuilding.
Glaciers is here to continuously thin our deck. Well, hitting our land drops. It's again.
So do you think that Goblins is going to have any big enchantments? Like, there wouldn't be any kind of equipment because that's not old school enough, but
like,
and all the red power buff enchantments are like either bad or new.
Yeah, they're playing.
Yeah, probably not.
They're playing Giant Strength. It's
right. I really wouldn't want to sideboard in enchantment removal to deal with Giant Strength.
Okay, we got nothing else going on.
Thanks, Thawing Glaciers.
Can only be single blocked. Vokes a really funky way of like forcing, combat sort of bits.
Okay, this time they correctly sacrificed their goblin for mana.
Okay, the fear that I had is gone. That was one of them. That was one of the biggest fears I had, was this damn card. You might have noticed I didn't attack with Aberration this turn.
Yeah, I was about to ask about that.
But
that kind of explains it.
My reasoning was that this is an opponent with 2 cards in hand who was like sitting around looking at playing spells last turn and chose not to, just to be playing a little bit more defensively. That makes me think they have some plays they're looking at doing that all of a sudden would change the makeup of, all of a sudden, like, whoops, I win sort of moves. Anyway, we're gonna do this cool move. Good old pre-draw Thawing Glacier. Okay. All right.
Ooh, very nice, very nice.
Yeah. The downside, actually an upside right now.
We can't compel it to block if it can't block.
I cannot compel this goblin into combat.
Yeah, you could kind of tell with Provoke that they were like almost inventing the fight mechanic. Oh, for crying out loud. That's obnoxious. All right, do your worst.
Not bad. Another.
Show us your Siege Gang commander.
Do you have
Squadron?
Do you have Osgod King?
Goblin Ringleader.
Okay. Okay.
Woof. Okay.
So, other faithful 100% comes in here. Sabine Grunts is also pretty good at doing its job. Don't like judgments. I think these two are the ones.
Are we gonna Astral Side Renewed Faith?
Another plan. So that's the opposite end of the question. Anything we want out? Kind of like the Elephant Guide Dream Pod Druid setup, because if we get that off, they're just dead. The trenches might not be necessary in a match like this.
Yeah, I don't think we're going to exhaustive against goblins.
Yeah, and like,
there's no way.
Do I want to just cut the red in case they do have the dumb mountain walk?
Oh my god.
Like,
yes.
Is that possible? Like, just in case, you know? Maybe that's the move.
I forgot Goblin King gave Mountain Walk.
Yes, I don't even know if Goblin King is in the set, but like, that's enough fear in me to like that is one of the reasons I was playing that defensively. By the way, is like, you know, Survival's good, Grunts is good. Maybe we just go with these, these and leave the faith stuff on this board. The reason I would leave the red in is that, like, Bassandra is a nice flyer, but I feel like these are games that are just going to, like, us killing them through, like, exhaustive advantage rather than anything else.
Yeah. Like, we dealt with their big combat turn, and they didn't have enough pepper to take us down after.
Yeah, I almost want to take out the Vorine, but it's actually very good against, like, the general, so I'm going to keep it.
Yeah.
All right, now that I've sideboarded, is it even in the set? Is there a Goblin King in the set? Is that a thing I'm worried about for no reason? What do we do here?
Bunch of tap lands, huh?
Yeah. Like the consistency from it, but this is, like, even the Nature's Lore. This could get run down. Having the Exile helps. Oh, I'll stop on my upkeep. Get out of here. Okay, that I think makes my play a lot more straightforward. We go step first, forest, Nature's Lore, and then just start setting up for future turns. So.
Okay, I did look it up. All the cards in Vintage Masters.
Yeah, not printed a lot, so I didn't qualify for their adding things. That would make some sense, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Sure.
Hey, the untapped part. It was actually relevant. How nice.
Yeah, even if it wasn't, we still had a move, so a couple moves. I'm not blocking, of course, here, unless they give me reason to. They might just Spark Spray, get the set. You know what? Fine. A+. Yeah, Cool.
Chain Lightning on Basking Root Ball.
You got it, boss. Dead.
Boy, oh boy.
Tusker here. It's either Thicket or Glaciers. I kind of want Thicket so that I can play the Vorine next turn.
Yeah, that makes enough sense. We want it as a land at this step, so
yeah,
kind of makes sense.
It's like,
I suppose the other thing would be cycle Tusker as a sorcery and just see if we raw dog a land that we would rather play.
Oh. 3 hits, cool.
That's bad.
That's very bad.
The classic Goblin card advantage.
Good news, if we can just get this goon with exile, that's actually quite good for us. Ah, damn. We want to go Vorine here so that I can Aberration the turn after. Because if I go, like, if I go Thaw Glaciers, I can't Aberration on the follow-up turn.
Right, right.
So... And this is the secret of Goblins, was that Goblins was like the red deck that had all of the card draw. It was very good at having all of the card draw forever. I want to put an Elephant Guide on this Vorine and go to town.
Sadly, might be too slow. Also, all of their guys are going to be tapped from attacking.
Oh, Provoke doesn't care about that.
Wait, really?
Yep, untaps
Oh, it untaps the thing? Oh my god. Going to town indeed.
Okay. The reason I want to do that is that I get to keep Exile up.
Yeah. Alright. We formed a plan.
The idea here is that I can just pick off all of their, like, one by one, just keep picking off goblins.
Yeah. I'm gonna pick off the 2-1 first, because they're tapped out. Yeah, I forgot Provoke was a functional mechanic and not, like, a completely awful one.
It has problems in that, like, if you untap the creature, they can just tap it for another ability, and that's annoying, but... Okay. Cool thing, Goblin Goon's gonna gain us a lot of life, and then Noble Templar and Aberration should hopefully, you know, pick up the game. That's the idea, you know?
It's a good one.
The worst case this turn is not too bad. It would be Chieftain, and then all the ones that they would have left. That would hit us for like 8.
Yeah, I think if they found Prospector, that would be pretty bad. If they did it correctly this time anyway.
Yeah. If they could prevent the life
Not
gain.
available as a line, so we're getting the life gain.
Thank goodness. Now the other card that I'm scared of, and the reason I want to start working their board down, is the Click Slither. That's, you know, the one that they can is like a tog for goblins. So we have to keep picking off goblins one by one with our Vorine. And then we do get to play some nice bodies. Noble Templar and Aberration are good at just being on the board. We get to play them both over the next.
Yeah, they can kind of stuff up a lot of things. We finally get to play thawing glaciers.
Yep. The invincible goblin, the goblin whose power is too powerful for our presence.
The unprovocable goblin.
And here's where these creatures excel. Provoke.
So when you said the word vintage to me, I really didn't envision us playing a 3/6 vigilance.
You know, the funniest thing about this set, it's called Vintage Masters. This is just like 60% Onslaught limited. All it's missing is Turn Timber Elf. You know? Like, it's basically just that. So, it's kind of funny. I want that stop on my upkeep again. Here's the Click Slither. So.
And there it goes.
They don't have enough of a board right now. This is actually pretty poor for them, I think. I'm gonna block with Noble Templar if it comes in.
That's interesting. So if we block a goblin, it gets eaten by the click slither.
Yeah, I think we force the click slither activations.
Hmm.
They have to activate
That's
it.
That's like blocking multiple creatures, kind of.
Yeah, they have to activate it twice to get what they want out of this. And then we can just provoke it down, and then they can sack the last piece of their board to kill my provoke. Which might be what they're after, but like we still have a lot.
But then they're still completely out of steam. I guess they still might have their like redraws, but we have redraws that they don't know about.
Yeah. Okay, so this is me deck thinning.
Like that one.
Okay then. What do I want that? Noble Templar again? Crossand Tusker? One of those two?
Yeah, don't have Taro's Faithful. They spent a lot of material dealing with the Templar.
Alright,
but
I'm gonna go ahead and do the attack first before we decide on what we're doing.
Yeah.
So if they want to kill here, they can do that by just sacking they can sack the goblin.
Right, but it's still a trade. And we get an elephant?
Yes. Elephants guide me. Also, we get Click Slither off the table, which is honestly the most... I would just want to play Aberration here.
Okay. I think the elephant is the tipping point for me. It's like, well, we still have a board presence. They have some spark sprays that are kind of junking up their hand, probably.
We have Unknown at this point. We're just sort of... We've seen they played all their goblins we knew. Ha.
Maybe this combined with the spark spray, right?
Mm-hmm. It's gotta be it. No?
Unless they didn't have it. Oh. Disgusting.
Alright, I'm going to attack.
Because I think we've earned it at this point.
I feel confident in our ability to go next turn. Karmic Guide.
Oh yeah, Spark Spray into Hidetsuku's second right. That'd be a good one.
Anyway, Crossand Tusker's on the board. Love to do this combo. That's beautiful.
That feels a little like chicanery.
A little bit.
It's pretty nice.
So Karmic Guide gets to eat it in combat this turn or whatever. At this point with mana, I would pay for it because we have like 20 mana. It's not really, if I want to use Elvish Aberration, we have that. A flying clock is nice. Matron.
Well, they get to find their best goblin.
Matron for general?
General doesn't have his own haste, though, right?
No.
There's the War Chief granting it that other time.
So maybe you just grab the War Chief? Most of the Goblin decks of the day only played like one copy of the Click Slither because it was very powerful, but it doesn't have any of the tribal synergies. So, like, you can't search it, you can't haste it, you can't make it cost less, etc., etc., etc. Yeah, I'm gonna pay for this body.
Do we want to thaw?
I don't think so.
Okay.
Because if I draw land, I might just Breath of Life. I'm gonna save that for like a victory push because it gives trample.
Mm-hmm. Oh man, regenerate. Regenerate really takes me back.
Okay. So the most powerful move here would be multiple generals. That's their best possible. It'd be like general, something else.
Opponent has tapped 4 mana.
I'm guessing Commando targeting Karmic Guide. So now that they took 7, like the guy's Embrace on Tusker might just be lethal depending on blockers left back. And this is a War Chief. What blockers, you know? So I assume if we live through this turn, the game is over. From this position.
Mm-hmm. Maybe they're doing math. Maybe
Yeah.
they do have something like what you said, and they're just trying to figure out if they can.
So double general would be pretty big. What the frick is 5? I don't know what that would be. Sure.
Glowstone Hellion.
That's a lot less threatening than any of the other plays in my mind.
That's not even a goblin.
No.
They spent all that time to menace us with their 23rd card.
Indeed. Attacks for 5, you know?
Yeah, it has haste, and I guess I don't hate it, but
I'm gonna, block it with an elephant.
Yeah, there's our leftovers. Okay, 5 mana sorcery kill on elephant token. Yeah, green for extra regen activations.
Mm-hmm.
Not that I imagine we're getting past the first regen activation, but, whatever.
Sorry, Dreampod Druid.
No, we can't make a token. Dreampod Druid dreams of ever having an aura attached.
The dream that will never be, because Crosan Tusker is here to beat up.
Okay. Beat up some goblins.
1 to go. Glad we fought the goblins. The goblins were, from my memory of this format, the, menace of it. You always had to be like, oh, the goblins, that was just a deck. So. Dreampod Druid's Dream of Token Sheep. Ooh. Yes. That is my goal for this final game, is to make a sapling token. Or whatever token the Druid makes. I don't actually remember if it's sapling or not. Yeah. So much onslaught in here. A lot of the other goblins you're seeing in this set are... So there's a number of, onslaught goblins that we've seen. War Chief, Skirk Prospector, the 2-1 that flips him off the top. But then there's also a lot of these, Portal starter set weird ones. That's where General's from. That's where Commando's from. Beetleback Chief was from Plane Trade. One of those side products, I'm pretty sure. I don't remember which one. They all flow the same to me.
There are a lot of goblins, it turns out. We are just dynamite at drawing that plateau.
Keeping that. I want to draw any other creature.
That would be nice. Ooh, could we draw the druid?
That would be best if we just drew the druid.
Finally solve the mystery of the druid.
Oh my god, I might tutor the name druid.
Elf? No elf. Yes, elf.
Elf?
Fruitwalla.
Uh-oh.
Ah! Yet another mirror. Excellent.
really want to draw anything but Karmic Guide, obviously.
Well, we have the Karmic Guide.
Right, but I don't want to. I want anything but Karmic Guide to use with survival. Like, I don't want to have to use the Karmic Guide to survival.
I understand. I was not even thinking about dropping Karmic Guide.
They won't notice, right? They won't notice, right? I'm going to play Tranquil Thicket here. I want another green source.
Makes sense. Although we did draw a creature.
We did.
It's not Karmic Guide.
Thank goodness. And it's like something I actually want to recur with Karmic Guide, so... Alright, will our opponent notice the synergy action they have? God, it's just Arrogant Worm on time. Oof. Okay. Guess I found the exile target. This card changes color on discard. So... Yep. Anyway, this is the curve. This is the good old Madness deck. Alright, I'm going to survival for Rootwall here. Because we're going to be using survival again before we actually do anything.
Makes sense. We kind of have to show them that we have it, but that's fine.
It's better than, like, it's still free to use, so... Okay, more green here is actually preferable. So we get to exile Arrogant Worm, gain 5, take some damage. Maybe I get the Druid.
Stuffing up the ground seems like it might work in this scenario.
Okay, so the threat of Rootwall might actually stop them from attacking here. With like,
they gotta come in with the worm at least.
Sure, but like Wild Mongrel might actually hold back. This is really, really good.
I love that we threatened them by telling the
again,
like, proof positive. We have a 1/1 1/1 in our hand.
Well, right, but I can just... It's a 3/3 that blocks.
I know.
It's so good. Okay, Cycle Tusker.
The classic pump on board.
It's land.
Highland. Okay, so they're... Yeah, probably just blue-green madness. Then.
Oh. Well.
Maybe with a splash of something spicy. We've already seen some spicy red cards.
Cast with Madness. So this bit right here, by the way, combined with Vengevine, is what got Survival finally banned in Legacy. It was dumb as hell. I'm gonna grab that Dream Pod Druid.
Yeah, let's live the dream. What are they gonna do? Interact? I don't think so.
Waterfront Bouncer is the card I would like expect, but you know.
Gonna get that token. Oh, good. We have the backup elephant guide for when they waterfront bouncer our... Wait a minute. It's not gonna work. At long last, the build has come together in the final chambers of the House of Hades. We get to make a token.
Always yield. Here they are!
Hooray!
Yay! Yay! Alright, then they get bounced. Oh, fuck.
Ha!
Oh,
Ha!
fuck.
Oh,
Oh, fuck.
God.
Groan. Trade Wind Rider.
So yeah, that's repeated bounce that is somewhat more powerful than Waterfront Bouncer, in fact.
A little bit. Wall attacking doesn't do anything.
Yeah, I'd like Tradewind just steps in front of that and we spend mana for nothing. Yeah, return target permanent.
Yeah, permanent.
What a thing.
Hoof up.
Like you can't even kill that thing because it's just like whoop.
Yeah, bounce the
That's a
druid.
curious time to do it. Oh, no, that's a good time to do it because we don't get a Saproling.
Because it is no longer enchanted.
It is not enchanted.
Because of, yeah.
Okay. Got 2 whole Saprolings out of the deal.
Yep.
No, we're not going to see Desert Twister for like forever. It's a fake card.
Sure. And they can't really go to combat because they're not going to discard 2 cards to Mongrel. We're going to do some end step surviving. Yeah, it even has 4 toughness, so my flyer kill card doesn't even touch it. Alright, let's go grab Crossend Tusker. And we're going to cycle Crossend Tusker. Yes, please. Give me Forest. And we'll draw a card. Okay. Okay.
That's too many. We're not doing the wooden defense this time, I promise.
No. Well. Push in. Spark sparring. There's no way you're splashing that card, so I don't really. Other than Twister, do we have any interaction with the creature that does not attack? No. And also, you can't kill this if it's untapped.
Yeah.
Part of the reason I went for the Tusker there was because I thought it was my highest chance to draw it this turn.
Well, at least bouncing Karmic Guide looks a little embarrassing. And we have 3 white sources, so if we wanted to keep it around with Echo for some reason, they can't bounce a plains.
Yeah. Yeah, if I already had this in play, that would be able to hit it if it was suited up, but that's something we don't have.
Yeah, and sadly, the provoke plan on it now that it's active is just super bad because it gets untapped.
Oh yeah, you provoking a Tradewind Rider is not a good idea. Okay, so they're gonna kill Basking Root Walla here because we left, you know.
Okay, we choose that one. We've been provoked.
Mm-hmm. 4 cards in hand. Sure, more dog.
More dog.
Willing to pay for keeping the guide around.
Okay, so what about Elephant Guide on Karmic Guide?
And then bouncing it is funny because, like...
Yeah, because then, we still get some advantage out of that. And I think it's the only way that Elephant Guide is doing literally anything for us.
Like it.
Because if they don't bounce it, then it's a 5/5 flyer, and they can't just block it.
This lets me send with Tusker Plus as well. Try to get some work done.
Tradewind Writer's limited environment was Tempest. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, that was a very aggressive limited environment because Shadow existed.
Yeah.
Okay.
But yes, it was kind of a buster.
Yeah. This was a set where they didn't realize what they were doing a lot, because this is the same era as Capsize.
Oh, yes. Oh, Capsize.
So they just kind of didn't realize what they were doing with repeated bounce.
Yeah, repeated game states in general, there's kind of a lot of stuff like that going on. Like Ice Age had what was that thing called? It was some like white enchantment that like eternal renewal or something like that. And it just perpetually fed your dying creatures to the top of the deck.
Alright, well, so we take some hits here. It's fine.
From dogs. Taiga. So we're thinking the red splash is definitely real.
Yeah, I'm worried about just a fireball, Caravex Torch, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Any creatures good here? Kind of nifty thing is like if they bounce Crowsand Tusker, I can like cycle it and then recur it. Yep, there's Tradewind activation. Yep. So yeah, let's go cycling and then pick it back up. Keep getting these lands out of the deck. Only 4 remaining and some cycling lands.
Yeah, there's the Thawing Glaciers as well.
Yeah. Okay.
Ah, yes. Like I said.
As you mentioned, that is a card in the deck. Kind of hope this resolves. Okay, I was a little worried about, you know, circular logic. Okay. Thank goodness Karmic Guide, like... Whoa. Alright. That's gonna get them a lot of food. If I don't block with guide. We don't have a draw that wins us the game because like our Gaia's Embrace was only +3. Is this a trenches game again? Is that what we're looking at?
I kind of don't like the idea of it because it makes a bunch of tokens, right? But no, it's gonna be way too many all at once. So yeah, it'd still be fine.
The Angel's not good enough because they just bounce it. It just stops spells, not abilities. Let's get them to throw.
Yeah. And besides, this way we get to cycle Crows and Tusker into Breath of Life.
And then the pump on that.
Okay, makes sense. Boy, howdy.
Only one basic left, I think. Maybe 2. Shit, there's 2. That's bad. Well, plans right here. Come on. Come on, deck. Cough it up.
Yeah, give us our 11th orphan. Come on.
Come on. Oh, come on.
Well.
Yeah, I do not think there's anything here that actually gets us the game. Okay. Just sort of checking up on it. Okay.
Okay.
So, Tradewind Rider. I don't know how to answer that one.
Yeah, I think our answer to it is them not drawing it.
We did get a Dreampod Druid token, though, so who can say if that was a good or bad game, really? Yeah, this just doesn't do it. This is 3 damage. This can't kill it. So, I mean, Grunts can't catch it in combat. Grunts aren't even, like, big enough to do combat fights here. The Brago and the Slide were late pack 3, so if we had got them earlier, we would have had a very different deck, clearly, but... I think we just roll back. Shelter's the only thing I'm thinking of. But that's just a one-shot.
Shelter would be a pretty big tempo swing, though, right?
Yeah, we get that to work. It also could work just a combat trick, you know?
Yeah.
I'm gonna take out... Maybe I just take out this thing.
Yeah.
I don't know that we're like... Even if we are recurring a thing, like usually that body's just not... Like, it's not dying in combat, so... Not against this opponent. Actually, Faithful's not good here. That doesn't do anything.
Yeah, I mean, they're not going to be complicit with us and keep bouncing it.
Yeah, so I'd like to play first. We can keep this. It's awkward, but we can keep it if we want.
Yeah, it's pretty slow.
Might want to mulligan into something faster as the
if they come out swinging, that's going to be hard for us.
Because it's like turn 1 Glacier, turn 2 Glacier, go grab a Forest, turn 3, activate Aberration, Exile keeping us alive. It's got so much advantage, but I kind of just want to get going faster. I'm going to try this one. Trenches goes away, and hopefully we draw White Source. That's basically it.
Yeah, sounds good to me. We, yet again, have the opportunity to live the dream. Just Dermapod Druid and a Dream Pod Druid and an Aura.
All right, we're both on the mulligan, so that's fine.
It's like just outside of possible that we get to Desert Twister their one problematic card.
Yeah. One thing that I like about keeping 2 landers in this deck is that we have a lot of cards that fix it. Like, it's not just any land we draw, but it's like Nature's Lore and any of the mana cyclers. Oh, we both did this. Okay. All right, cool.
Only they knew how bad our hand
Holy
was.
shit, they should not have. That was not a.
Well, eager to get on with a steamroll, right. I guess.
Do I want to push harder for the Dream Pod Druid plan? Like, is that how we beat this opponent?
Maybe, actually.
Yeah, I'm just gonna go a little harder on it.
Take out some of our awkward stuff.
I'm keeping the Vorine if we're adding more things like this.
And I guess shoutouts to Bassandra Battle Seraph for being the cheerleader of the deck.
This is not action.
Ugh. Well, forest cycling though.
Yeah. Can Vorine do enough here? How aggressive am I willing to get on mulliganing is the question, really. Because like this one, we throw like Root Waller or something back, and then we can fetch for the red as well. Yeah, this should be okay. Again, I don't like the speed of it, but what can we do? Okay.
Yeah, that's actually not bad at all.
Means they don't have to. Okay, they don't have speed either.
Wow, no dog, huh? Yabby we saw that.
That's pretty good for just advantage. Okay.
All right. A subset of the dream. Maybe we get the Dream Pod Druid. No, we don't.
Yeah, that's why I did that. That is the literal reason I did that play there.
I mean, it makes sense to me.
Because that would be very good. Okay, we take 2.
Blastoderm.
Hey, buddy. How you doing?
Shit.
That's kind of big.
Well, is that good?
I'm gonna.
What if we just make an invincible man?
Here they are. The invincible man. I'd probably still just force this Yavimaya Elder activation here, though.
I'm fine taking a lump to do that. Rather than, like, we don't really have, like, a Taros Faithful lined up to block it better.
Wow.
Didn't activate?
Must have a play they want.
Yeah. Another Blastoderm. Island Mountain. What? I was kidding!
Hell yeah! Hell yeah! Hell yeah! No! Blastoderm 2 is in the house.
I was kidding.
Are you ready for Blastoderm 2? The sequel to Blastoderm.
That makes me hurt.
I'm gonna play Crossa and Vorheim.
You know what? I need to stop putting cards in their hand. I'll put garbage in their hand. How about that?
That's my job to do that.
It's junk now.
Here's the actual secret about Blastoderm 2. I don't really care about it. It's fine. Like, I can double block the big one, and then we take 5, and then, like, we can get the Noble Templar down and start blocking them forever, so. It's, like, annoying. It's really funny to me. Anyway.
Well, we were never provoking them anyway.
Yeah. So that's a Blastoderm off the table. Fading, this still has one more turn alive. Fading is when you fail to remove the counter. So Blastoderm gets 3 attacks.
Yeah, they repurposed that as vanishing in a fixed way, sort of. But now it's just double confusing because there's 2 very similar mechanics that work differently.
Yeah, that's my favorite thing about the failure of vanishing, is that it's like, we fixed fading. It's like, no, you actually just made, all you did was make it worse. There was no improvement. You did no such thing. Anyway, this thing now prevents all damage dealt to it. It's just an invincible 2/2. Bit of the pain. I like to draw a land.
If the no-bag gets provoked out of the way.
Do I have to play Bassandra here?
I think we might. It's not, like, bad.
No.
4/4 fire, but...
Okay, so this gets its final turn. Fireball! You know, like Fireball. Can't fight spell. Hey! Wait a minute. I recognize that move.
They've devised a trick.
I recognize this maneuver. Blastoderm 3. Are we that cool? We are that cool! We are that cool! We are the coolest opponent! Holy shit! No opponent is cooler!
What is this? They'll never expect the 4th Blastoderm. What on earth?
So if I play the Noble Templar, it just gets eaten. I think I cycle the Tusker. I'm going to take 5 for it. I can't kill this. I'm going to cycle the Tusker. I feel like there's more draws that are live that way than... Thank you for the sub, Green Intern. I appreciate it. Exile? That's nice.
Ooh.
That's time.
It's kind of sins forgiven.
Yeah. Okay.
I mean, we can pull back stuff that's big enough to trade with the Varine or the Blastoderm.
Yeah. How much power toughness is Armor Thorns? +2/+2. It is not enough for me to kill off their Varine. Now, cool thing, good thing, nice thing we have. Blastoderm has Shroud. Oh god, what is this? Fireball? Keep thinking Fireball's coming. What's your red splash? Show me your red splash. Karavic's Torch, my face. Oh.
Roar of the Worm.
Yeah, that one makes sense.
Whew. Yeah, they pulled Genesis Ultimatum out of nowhere, and we're like, hey, hold up. I'd like to see no attacks. That's mysterious from where I'm sitting.
Yeah, that was free damage. That was literally free damage.
I mean...
Exile? They might not have wanted to ran an Exile.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
Which is a card we've shown them. Okay, so this like can either trade with the Vorian or trade with the Worm.
It's kind of up to our opponent which trade they want, but...
Indeed. I'm happy they didn't attack there. That's 5 damage we should have taken for free. But again, I think the Exile is the card they were worried about, and it makes sense. Like, if they lose this Vorian, that's actually the seat of their power. Like, all of a sudden, Blastoderm is on a clock. We have an unkillable blocker. Like, so this is actually a little bit more powerful than, you know, like, normally. We use Armor of Thorns as a temporary +2/+2. You can cast it with Flash, but it sacrifices itself again at the cleanup step. This one has a different reasoning for the cleanup step sacrifice. If it were to say I had Crowsand Tusker and I blocked this worm, and then I used Armor of Thorns and, you know, blocked, and then pumped it to be a 8/7. It'd live. Great. Excellent. We did it. Then end of turn would come around, and if this sacked at end of turn, my Tusker would then die at end step. Okay, this is a pretty apparent block. I'm going to do that trick I was just talking about. So, glare blockers, here.
Shame that thing isn't black.
Oh yeah, for like the protection?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've been waiting for the secret protection from black on Karmic Guide to be relevant.
Sorry, I just assumed that block was happening. Armor Thorns on here.
Look at these hot sideboard cards.
This is the power of our tech. So yeah, if the sacrifice did end step, the Tusker would go back to a 6/5 before damage got cleared. And this card would fail to function. Like, literally. It just would not work. So, the substance, which is what that mechanic used to be called in rules text, in errata, not on the card, this is kind of how it got dealt with. Necromancy is the card you're probably most familiar with this line of text. It can be cast as though it has flash, sack it at the end of turn.
Yeah, it's one of those mechanics that they made that was like really intuitive if you didn't think about it too hard. It's just like, oh, well, I used it as an instant, so it's temporary, and that's sort of the understandable part. But then to get like rules that actually make that work within the framework of Magic the Gathering, they went through some torturous and laborious steps to bring that about. Prophetic Bolt.
Well, that's not my face.
In our head. Yeah.
Nice splash. This is a good card for it. That with the Taiga, right? They had a Taiga, right?
Yeah.
That makes sense for it to be a pretty easy include, and this is a very strong card. This was a rare in APOC, uncommon here. You might be more familiar with the smaller version of this, the Ralzeric one. 3 damage.
That card was such a house.
Yeah, like, and this is Impulse plus 4. Like, this is the big version of it for 1 more too. Like, it's oof. Sure. Okay, you're going wide. I understand.
Is that good?
I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, the problem being that we could very easily plop something that is much, much more difficult for us to deal with.
So I have to take an action this turn or we lose. Krosan Vorian provokes, and then 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So we die. If I kill Elephant Guide, 5, provoke, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So killing Elephant Guide is not an option. If I kill the Vorine, block Blastoderm 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We live a turn. I don't know what we're drawing to not lose, but we live a turn. This is on target.
Yeah, that turn is Blastoderm also going away.
Yes.
Their board kind of shrinks on its own. And they no longer have the thing that's keeping Noble Templar in our hand.
I think we have to draw I think we have to draw Basking Rootwalla.
Excellent.
Alternately, we threaten exile. They already showed that they'd play around it, right?
Mm-hmm.
So maybe exile is powerful enough that it has life gain attached, so maybe they get a little too scared of it. Anyway, here's the last turn of Blastoderm. They also have a 6/6 in the yard, I'm aware. There are a lot of problems here. I'm trying to figure out solutions. So there's the blocks. There's the pump. We go to 1. 2 cards in hand. And the flashback. I think that is enough to make us lose no matter our draw. Alright, so if we're going to win, we have to do it this way.
Yes. We have to stare them in the face and lie and lie.
This is a position I feel very confident in my ability to do physically. Like, just, with the complete poker face, land, go, and then just look them dead in the eye, like, bring it in.
Yeah. I have a feeling they're not going to chicken out this time.
I think they know how to play around it. But I think this might get them to not attack with the worm.
That would be pretty cute. Like they send with just Findhorn and Rootwalla.
Yes. Which would kill us. Like, that would force me to use Exile on Rootwalla, which would be to their benefit. Like, I think that might be what they do. It still kills us. They're thinking through all these lines right now. Again, because our opponent played around Exile before, I believe in their ability to think through all these lines. And they should realize that even with Exile, they still, like, they might not win this turn if we have it, but they should be able to burn the Exile on a useless card because our life total's too low. Yes! Oh!
They figured it out! Oh!
Again,
Hey, wanna tap some mana?
Yeah.
For plane cycling?
1, 2, 3, and we will plane cycle. Very good. I have a heavy respect because, again, we both of us were on the same thought process there, you know? Because we knew that they played around Exile, they're like, okay, we can use that information, and then they thought it through, and it's like, all right, here's the attack, 2 1/1s. You have to spend Exile or die, right? And then, we don't have it. Because if they go in with that 6/6 and we gain 6 and then kill their, 3/3, they're in a very, very bad position. Like, we're at 3, but their board is gone, and, we could just, start coming back from that was a fun draft. Our deck was very,
it was halfway there to, 3 different things.
Yeah.
We had, 3 half decks, and holy cow, did Karmic Guide just forgive all our sins multiple times.
Yeah, we had the glue that held it together there. I really enjoyed it though, especially with the wide variety of opponents that made it a very interesting draft. Vintage Masters is like, a very, it's a much older Masters set, and it's very clear it's designed with Limited as basically its primary purpose. Because, obviously the purpose of Vintage Masters was print power so that it exists on Magic Online. Therefore, Vintage and Legacy and such are playable on Magic Online. And Legacy, this is the one place, Vintage and Legacy, this is the one place they thrive. It's actually quite cheap to get into Vintage if you want to play it on Magic Online, comparatively. Not even comparatively, it's not thousands of dollars for power, But at the same time, there's only so many cards they want to print to power that. It's like, okay, we need to get him to Turok Online, or that sort of thing.
Right. The entire set is not going to be made out of all of the power that they're printing.
So there's a lot of these much lower base power things that end up playing really heavily. Goblin Commando being one of the better commons is probably the best explanation of that. It's a 5 mana 2/2 that deals 2 on come in, but it's a pretty key part of that deck. And there are a lot of powerful things. We had an opponent with recall, literally. But there's also things that are not even close to it. So this is a fun format. I'm glad we got to do this. So
it made my head hurt. I don't think I could do another.
Yeah. No, that one went long enough that there's no chance for a second. That was a 3-hour draft one. I did consider doing a draft 2 if that one went short, but 3 hours. No, sorry,
match one itself was long enough to.
Yeah. So
put that to rest.
But if you're looking for more Magic in the future, Kaldheim comes out in days. So you can expect me to be doing some drafts in the very near future to show off that set as it comes out. And if you want to check that out, you can always follow, see when I go live, generally 7 Central on weekdays, and on weekends 2 Central tends to be the start time. Sunday's the one day we got plans there. Upcoming tomorrow, I think me and Luke are doing Heat Signature. I think that's what we landed on. I don't know for sure though. That might change because we finished Teardown. But yeah, so follow, subscribe, cool skulls, cool slime. But I'm just glad everybody's here hanging out and having a good time with our silly draft that's pulled in 3 different directions. So anyway, that's gonna be it. Thank you, Kaz, for joining.
Yep, my pleasure.
Yep. Thank you, everybody.
My head hurts now.
Thank you, everybody, and have a good night.